Download a proposal example as your guide. After you have submitted your proposal will be going through a review process by our team. And why are you still here? Go to our page now and send your creative ideas to us. We'll be waiting for you.
What you need to know about Education USA at America. Fact number 1. Education USA is a U.S. Department of State network of over 430 international students advising centers in more than 175 countries and territories. Fact number 2. There are 8 Education USA centers and 10 advisors across Indonesia, 2 in Jakarta, 2 in Surabaya, chat box, please do so. Just let us know like where you guys are. But okay, I am going to close the polling. And before me basically talking about like everything about essay, I would like to introduce you to Santika, the other advisor for Education USA in America, to give a little bit of information about Education USA just in case this is your first time. Hi, Santika.
Hi, Fina. Thank you. So, hi everyone. Thank you for coming in today, and we are very happy to have this much crowd. And I see more people actually joining us. It was 59, but now we have 73. So, welcome for those of you who just joined us. I want to let you know that we are here for you. So, my name is Santika. I'm one of the Education US advisor. So, actually, I'm with Fina in the America Center for Education USA. And I'm going to let you know that Education USA is a U.S. Department of State. We network over 400 international student advising center, over 170 countries in this world. So we have 8 centers and 10 advisors in Indonesia. I will give you the details just in case you're curious and you want to refer any of your friends or anyone that's in the city for Education USA near their area. So we have 2 in Jakarta, one in the U.S. Embassy. We have David and Iqbal there. We are so another one in Jakarta is in America, Education USA at America. There's Fina and me, and then we have 2 in Surabaya. One is in U.S. Consulate General Surabaya. We have Husky there. We also have one in Surabaya in Universitas Airlangga Unair. You can find Ambar there, and we have one in Medan, in U.S. Consulate Medan. His name is Jeffrey. He's very nice, so you can refer anyone in Medan to him. We have one in Malang, in Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang. The advisor there is named Zaki. And we have one in Makassar, in Universitas Fajar in Makassar. Her name is Chendani, so you can contact her if you know anyone in Makassar. And the last one is in Banda Aceh, Universitas Islam Negeri UIN Araini Aceh. So her name is Lilis, and she's very kind. So you can refer anyone in Banda Aceh who wants to study there. So the next thing that I want to let you know about Education USA, we guide anybody who wants to study in US for bachelor, master, or PhD. You can come and find us. We have the 5 steps to guide you. The first one is researching your option. Second one is financing your studies. The third one is completing your application. This includes any documents that you have to submit, including your essay and your CV. We are able to give you input or review. Fina and I will be very happy to do that. And the fourth one is applying for your student visa. So this one is after you got accepted by any university that you want to go. You have to apply for the visa, and we have the step-by-step for you. And the fifth one is the pre-departure orientation. Basically, we let you know what you need to prepare for you to go to US. So that's that for Education USA, and I will always repeat this since I'm talking in Zoom, but if you're in social media, you have questions, just comment on the box below you, and then our social media team will pass it on to us. If you're in Zoom, use the chat box feature. Fina will have her talk, and then you can take notes, important notes, because she will let you know a lot of important items because this essay is crucial. If you have question, you can take down the questions, and then you can paste it to the chat box. We will answer it in the Q&A section after Fina finishes her talk. And another thing is, okay, so I'm done with my part. So I'm going to pass it to Fina to talk about why essay is so important. Hi, Fina.
Hi, thank you so much, Santika, for the introduction. Again, I would like to say hi to everybody who's joining us here in Zoom. We have a really good crowd. I'm so happy. But for those of you who are watching us from Facebook, Twitter or even YouTube. Hi guys. Like Santika said, if you have any question, please leave it in the comment box. But if you also want to join the crowd here in Zoom, let's do that as well. You can see our room by registering through America's website. Just look out for this event tonight. And okay, so I'm gonna time it myself here just so that we can have like some time to do the Q&A. But I don't have any presentation. Because if you've been to America before, this is part of like our monthly event, and there is no way that I would be able to give all the necessary information about essay writing in. We have about like an hour, 40 minutes for me to basically like do the talking and then also do the Q&A. So what I would like to do is just break it down. And so if this is your first time here, this is great because we're going to talk a very basic about essay, but I will also try my best to cover pretty much the whole thing about essay writing so that after this event, my hope is you can start your first draft. All right. So, and another reasons we can, why I don't have a presentation is because I tend to linger for too long when I have like a slide. But then again, I'll try my best to like speak in 20 minutes. In fact, there are so many new information that I would love to share with you guys. And I'm actually still learning. This morning, I just attended one of the webinars from one of the US universities talking about like essay. So it's my pleasure basically to be able to kind of like pass this information to you guys. All right. And again, if you want to turn your camera on, please do that, but no pressure whatsoever. At the end, if you would like to ask me a question, just raise your hand and then we will be able to unmute you so then you can verbally ask your question. All right. Okay. So before we dive into the essay itself, I usually start with remind you guys about the requirements if you want to study in the US, right? Because as you might already know that there are a number of requirements that you need when it comes to applying to the US. So for example, we need the transcript. We also need your standardized tests such as the TOEFL or IELTS. And then we also have GRE or GMAT, although there are also a number of programs that do not require that. And then we have resume or CV, depending on what the university is asking. We also have letters of recommendation, something that you really also want to pay attention to. And then last but not least, we have essay, right? Assuming that you guys are here for fall 2021, this is like a really great timing for you guys to start all of this, think on this application, right? Oftentimes, a lot of us thought that writing essay is something that you would do at the end of everything. At the end of after you compile all the other documents, then you would write the essay. And so here, I would like to let you guys know that we do not want to. We want to pay attention more on this essay, right? A lot of us thought, you know what, I'm just gonna like work on it later because a lot of us thought that, you know, do really, really great in GRE is more important. Writing resume and trying to find like a good recommenders is more important than essay. But I would like to say, please work on your essay as soon as possible. And I'm going to give you the reason why, right? Because a lot of us thought when it comes to US admission essay, there are similarities from a lot of us when it comes to essay writing, where we tend to write something that is autobiography or resume approach. Right. That's why a lot of people thought that, you know what, it's easy, right? Okay, so the university want me to write an essay. I'm just gonna like write about like, you know, look, I graduated from this university with a cum laude with great GPA. I would like to show that off. And then after I graduate, I work here and there for a couple of hours, and this is what I did in this company, you know. But then what the university is really asking for is they do not want to read any information that is already available in the other documents. And if you really think about like what I just said earlier, where can you get that information from? So like, first of all, if I'm in an admission committee, I would sit down, right? And then I would read the application for this one applicant. Of course, I know. So, for example, like the name is Fina, right? Let's say it's Fina, and then I would, of course, like the first thing that I would find is who this person's name is, right? And then I would say, okay, so this is Fina. Okay, good. I'm looking at her transcript. She graduated from this university with a certain GPA. Oh, look, and then I'm looking at her resume. Oh, okay, so she worked with EducationUSA for a couple of years with as an advisor, and then she did this, she did that, and all that. And then like when it comes to essay, I would basically read what I just read, but in a story setting, right? And that is actually what a lot of people kind of thought when it comes to essay. It is the essay that you can use if you want to study outside the US, right? Assuming that you guys are here to study US, I would like to change all that. It's kind of like the opposite of that, all right? Um, let's see. I don't have any PowerPoint, but I have some key points here, which hopefully that I can elaborate more so then you understand better as well. Let's see here. What do I have? And also, a lot of us thought that when it comes to writing an essay, it's kind of like also writing like an academic paper, something that I can write from my thesis, right? But it's actually not, right? And this is also what makes this essay event, not just event, but also one of the most popular, if not the very popular service in Education USA at America, is that we can actually review your essay, because they're just the fact that there are so many people kind of like mistaken when it comes to like essay writing. So now let's take a look at what makes the essay in the US is really different, right? So first of all, again, like I said earlier, the university, because when you want to apply to US, the requirements is already quite a lot. We can say that, right? And they don't want to have like any repetition from the other documents. So what they means by asking your essay is, so after they look at your transcript, your resume, reading the letters of recommendation, it's time for them to actually get to know you personally. And how can they know that? And they can know that from the essay. So that's why when it comes to an essay writing to the US, you want to write a story. But then when I said story, a lot of us thought, okay, that sounds easy. A story meaning that it's about myself, right? And this is also another thing that a lot of people kind of like do when it comes to essay writing, that a lot of us tend to talk about me, I. So it's too focused on yourself. But what they want to read is actually something that no other applicant can write. Okay. Technically, if let's say you want to study MBA, right? The first question, so when I get an advisee and then I would ask, so what do you want to study? And then people said, I want to study MBA. And then I would go and ask, why do you want to study MBA? And a lot of people basically have the same answer. And their answer is, oh yeah, I want to level up my career, right? And so if that's what you're going to write in the essay, well, technically you can write that, but if you think that way, that is very like a general, like everyone's purpose when it comes to like studying an MBA is to level up their career, right? But if that's what you're going to put in the essay, basically other applicants, hundreds of other applicants out there, we're basically going to say the same thing. And that leaves you with an essay that is not different, it's not original, not unique. You know what I mean? Like there would be a lot of admissions committee that would go, oh my God, like this is my 20th essay that I would read. And basically the person is saying the same thing like any other applicants. But what I'm trying to push you here, what Santika and I try to push you when it comes to like essay review is how you can write an essay that nobody else can write. So let's repeat that again, right? How you can write an essay that nobody else can write. Is it hard? It is. But it doesn't have to be hard, as long as when I ask you, when we're doing the one-on-one advising, and I ask you, why do you want to study this? Why do you want to study human resource management or something like that? Or how do you want to study like LLM? Why do you want to focus in environmental management? Once you have your clear goals of what do you want to use this program for, what is it that your intention, like what are you going to do after you graduate? What applying to US university means for you? Why these specific universities? And it's really funny because when I had an advisee coming in for the first time, and then I would ask a lot of these questions, people were just like, why are you asking this many questions? But I'm asking these questions because I want to check with you first if you already know all this, right? If you can answer all this, that's basically what you're going to put in the essay. Right. And again, when it comes to the essay, the university really want to read, want to know you on a very personal level. All right. And it's very, applying to US university is very holistic to begin with, meaning that they're not just going to take a look at your grades. And unfortunately, that's something that a lot of us really focusing on, the grade, or how can I get like a really great GRE score? Because if I don't have like a really that great GRE score, I'm not gonna get it, right? But yes, you need to do your best when it comes to GRE test, but then you can't also neglect the importance of the essay. All right, and so here the goal is for you again to write something that no other people can write, and trust me. Like the quiz today earlier, they're asking how many essay session that EducationUSA America conducted last year alone. Hopefully you get it right, but we have hundreds of essay session, and trust me, almost every advisees that came to Ed America, you guys have like a very different story from one person to another. So, for example, one of the popular majors is public policy or public affair, public administration, somewhere along the field. But there are so many essays with different story for that same major, right? So you need to be very clear. Like, start asking yourself, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to fix? Look, I decided 6 months ago that I want to study in the US because this is what I see. In my hometown, currently there's this thing going on, and I believe that the government will find it very helpful if I study this, something that is not available yet in Indonesia, but it's available in the US, so that when I'm coming back to Indonesia, I can work alongside the government and helping them. That's just like one example, right? Something that you can start thinking about. So the big questions is, who are you trying to help, right? If it's not a person, what are you trying to help? So you need to find every little thing of what is it that you want to do, instead of focusing so much about yourself, because that is something that again, it can be reflected in your like resume and all that. But on the essay, we can actually put some personal aspect in it, and but also like many other things, right? This is what makes writing an essay to US university is very quite challenging, because here what I like to tell people is, before you start writing, think about the theme, tema, right? So what do you want to study again? Write that down, right? Okay, I want to study about technology and agriculture. The theme doesn't have to be your major, but the theme is, what is it that you're trying to fix? What is it that you're trying to, and it doesn't also have to be something like a problem. It can also something that, I would like to start this, right? So start thinking about that. I'm thinking on like
make the agriculture of Indonesia better. And I'm using, like one of my advices on top of my head that I can think of right now, where she would basically explaining that there are so many similarities when it comes to agriculture between the US and Indonesia. It's just that the differences where in the US, usually one farmer can basically have so many acres of land, but in Indonesia, one farmer probably just get like really tiny acres of land to farm, and so she started with that to kind of like give a basic information about Indonesia, because here we also want to be aware of who is going to read this essay. Right? Yes, when you come to America, I'm going to read it, right? And I'm an Indonesian. When I read your essay, I probably like familiar with some of the topics. But when I'm on the reading mode, I will put myself as if I don't know anything about Indonesia. I know about the country, but I have no idea about like the situation. So you want to give a bit of information on that. And when you give that information and start comparing with other countries, it doesn't have to be comparing with the US. It can also compare with like neighboring countries or something like that. So the idea is to give them like a little bit of a background of information. Then that would be really good, right? So this person starts with kind of like the agriculture. How does that look in Indonesia? And then she compares that in the US, where she argued that in the US, of course, no doubt, when it comes to technology and agriculture is already there. In Indonesia, we are not there yet. And then she talks about like what is still missing in Indonesia. So it's kind of like kind of like roller coaster, I want to say. So you can start with give a background about like how amazing Indonesia is, for example, right? Like Indonesia, the fourth largest population, just after the United States, is da 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 da. However, this is what is going on, right? And this is what I usually see from advisees, that you're coming to America with already with a goal that there is something needs to be fixed. How small that is, it doesn't matter, as long as you know what are you going to help, or who are you going to help. You are pretty much like already good to go. Right? I'm going to give you an example of other type of how you can also write a very different type of essay. So I got one of my advisees who wants to learn more about the urban poor in Jakarta. Have you guys heard about urban poor? I have not until I read her essay. So basically, urban poor is basically the low income people who lives in the urban area, which is in this case, she wants to focus in Jakarta, right? So then there is a lot of term that she wants to use in the essay that is kampung, right? In the beginning, she used village, but then village in the US is not necessarily village here in Indonesia, right? Village in the US is still just like very nice, a lot of greens and all that. But village in Indonesia, it doesn't always, it's not always the case, right? So what she does is she used a comparison of favela, the poor area in Brazil, a term that almost everybody knows, right? So she started something like if Brazil have favela, Indonesia, or I think she mentioned Jakarta has kampung. So then the reader kind of like, because if you just kind of like go straight using the word kampung, and then try really hard to explain what kampung is, the admissions committee might not still understand what kampung is, right? Also, another thing that you also want to kind of like give a little bit of background is when I get an advisee when she wants to bring in like the value of gotong royong. What is that word in English, right? But then so there's like some cultural element in the essay, and she wrote that in the introduction paragraph. Now, maybe for some of us, when you think of, okay, so I'm going to write about Jakarta being the mega city, but then for you, probably it's not something amazing, right? Because, so for example, if you live in Jakarta all your life, you just see it as this, right? But imagine if you actually write that in the essay, mentioning that this mega city is almost like the same size as the whole Hong Kong, right? We have like almost 10 millions in Jakarta alone, right? So another thing that we want to make the reader to keep reading is to wow them with all these facts. And this is my favorite part as an Indonesian, assuming you guys are also Indonesian, wanting to study in the US. There are so many amazing things that we can put on the table. There are so many things that we can put in the essay, right? And this is what I'm going to do when we're doing the one-on-one advising session, is that I'm going to push you a little bit further. So I'm going to require you to also do a lot of research, but don't worry, it's going to be like fun research, I would say, because there are so many things that we're going to put in the essay, right? Not just the good thing about Indonesia, but you also want to provide like data. You want to also provide like some facts about that, the current situation. Or if you want to start something, why do you want to start something? And why do you believe that when you implement that, when you're coming back to Indonesia, that either Indonesian people or like Indonesian economy will find it really helpful? So you need to have a reason. You can't just say that I want to apply this this program because I would like to help Indonesia's economy. That's very vague. That's too general. There might be in the tens or hundreds of other Indonesians might be saying the same thing. So we want to be very different here, right? And what else do I have here? I actually so usually people ask what should they prepare when they want to make an appointment on essay writing. I would like to see your draft, right? And I know it might be still kind of like confusing. Where should you start with all this? And then a lot of advisees in the past asked me if I can share with you some samples, knowing that there are a lot of advisees that came to EducationUSA at America and then they got accepted to their dream universities. In the beginning, I did that. When I just started, I would ask my advisees who already got accepted, and then I would ask them, hey, would that be okay with you if I share your essay to a number of my advisees? Once I got the permission, I shared it with my advisees, and guess what happens? A lot of you guys found it really, really hard to create your version of essay because you keep membandingkan that one essay to your essay, because in the back of your mind you already know that this person got accepted to, let's say, one of the highly selective universities in the US, and then for you, when reading that essay, almost to the point where I don't think I can write the same thing. I also actually got a number of students where it's getting worse to the point where some of the advisees kind of not exactly similar, writing the same essay, but almost similar. And we know we can't do that, right? We don't want that. And so after that, I stopped sharing my the essays to the advisees. And so what we did is we created the monthly event in America on basically everything you need to know about statement of purpose or personal essay. Back in America, I would basically give the presentation for an hour and a half. Although I would ask some of the audiences some feedback about it, and a lot of them got back to us with a really positive feedback, to the point where they feel like attending that event really helped them in writing the first draft, because that's what I would like us to move on next. By you being here tonight, which I really appreciate, I would say this is, you can start with like a very simple, just your introduction paragraph. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to give it to me or Santika with the whole full draft. right? Let's start with just the introduction paragraph, which by now you already know that you want to write something that there's no other applicants can write, right? Let's start with that fact, okay? And I have another thing that I would like to share, but just in case I don't want like I have to stop all of a sudden that because the timing is we need to stop. But let me check real quick with Santika if we have questions.
Hi, Fina. So, yes, we have 2 questions by now. The first one is from, let me pull it out. It's from Andre Octaviandra. Hi, Andre, are you here? Do you want to share your questions in the video? Hi, Andre. Hi.
Yes, Andre.
So his question is essay different than statement of purpose, Fina?
Sorry, come again?
Is essay different from statement of purpose?
Okay. Thank you, Andre. Actually, feel free to verbally saying your question, but absolutely okay if you just want to type it out. The difference between essay and statement of purpose, that is a really good question. Usually I start with so many different terms when it comes to essay, because there is essay, there is statement of purpose, there is personal essay, there's personal statement, we have motivation letter, which by the way, when it comes to personal, when it comes to motivation letter, actually, that is not the term that is being used for U.S. universities. But if we get advisees coming in and they ask or email us, hey, Vino, or hi, EducationUSA, please review my motivation letter, I can already assume that you are also applying for European countries. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just kind of like, yeah, we don't really use the motivation letter. But now let's go back to like how the difference between just essay or personal essay to statement of purpose. Since the majority of you guys are here for a master's degree, the very common term when it comes to essay is statement of purpose. Okay, although there are a number of departments or a number of programs where they can ask 2 different essays or maybe even 3. They may ask statement of purpose. They may ask personal essay. They may also ask supplemental essay or optional essay, right? So there are so many different terms that a lot of us can find it really confusing. But if they only ask personal essay or just essay, and that is the only thing that the university is asking, we can assume that means it's a statement of purpose. That is something that I basically just share with you guys. Although I haven't really talked about like the structure of the essay itself, we are still kind of like somewhere in the introduction paragraph and kind of like trying to make you familiarize yourself with what to write in there. But yeah, if that is the only essay that the university is asking, we can assume that it's a statement of purpose. But again, there might be statement of purpose, there might be a personal essay. Here's the thing about personal essay. So let me just start with statement of purpose. Sorry, I'm like all over the place. But let me just start with statement of purpose. I'm going to talk real quick about the structure, right? So by now, you know that the introduction paragraph has to be something that is very, very kind of like to get the attention of the reader. That is, we want to give them like as much information as possible about the background about Indonesia, what makes Indonesia different than other countries, and then once you kind of like get that in the introduction paragraph, kind of like a teaser. We don't want to be too detailed because that's what we want to talk in the next paragraphs, but just enough for people to kind of like keep reading, right? This is also something that I would like to share with you guys. The fact that this is a secret, which I'm going to share it and no longer be a secret. Actually, the admissions committee, when it comes to reading an essay, they may actually skip some of the essays. And what kind of essay that they're going to skip? It's the type of essays, like I said earlier, when they are reading the same essay again and again and again. Something that other applicants pretty much is like sharing with us. But if you can actually start the essay with something that they have not read something like that before, then they are going to keep reading. So it's almost to the point like if you're if you're like an avid reader, if you like to read books. So for example, if I want to pick up a book, I would kind of like read the first few paragraphs. If I like it, if it's really engaging, I would keep reading. If not, I'm gonna like put it back and then move on to the next book. It's almost similar when it comes to essay, right? So after that introduction paragraph, you're going to kind of like go into details about that teaser paragraph, and then after that, continue with showing the university how that specific university will get to where you want to be. Right? So you address the problem, you address the idea and all that. And then after that, you're saying pretty much along the lines, so this is why I want to study in your campus. Look, because your campus has this and that, this and that. And we don't want to be very too general either. We don't want to say something like, oh, I want to apply to your campus because this program is like number one in the US or number one in the world. It's too cliche. For the university, it's something that for them is almost like, yeah, we already know that our program is like the best. But if you're saying that after like my research or something like that, this university has this specific program that is not offered anywhere else. So what makes that specific program really, really different? So that is statement of purpose, right? With personal essay, it's something about you. So in the beginning, I said about in the statement of purpose or in the essay, we don't really want to say about me, I. We want to kind of like telling them, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to help. This is the people that I want to help. But in the personal essay, it's the complete opposite what I just said. It's everything about you. I want to know from your point of view, why do you want to do all this? Of all millions of other Indonesians out there, why you? A lot of people found it really, really challenging when it comes to personal essay, but don't worry, again, we are here. But I would say statement of purpose is the most important essay. So I'll stop there, and then Santika, if we have any other question.
Yes, so the second questions come from Dahlia Lydia Silitonga. She actually asked something that's not really very relevant with essay, but I think it's kind of like a quick question, quick answer. My question is, can we continue our study is not relevant with our major in graduate for master in US? So what I know is some program does not require you to be in the same line of study, but just to double check with you. So as far as I know, it depends on what kind of master program you are applying for. Some of them require you to have the same field of study in your bachelor, but some of them are not. Is that right, Tina?
Yes. So basically the short answer is, don't you worry. All right. It's very, very common in the US where people would take engineering for their bachelor's degree or for their S1, and then they continue with their MBA. That's pretty much like what makes MBA is a very popular program, but it's really, really hard to get into just because there are so many people out there who want to study MBA. If there's any students here wants to study MBA, let us know. Just kind of like wants to know, because there's so many advisors of us that wants to study MBA. But Dahlia, thanks so much for your question. But you don't have to worry about the major. However, something that you can take away from this is when it comes to if you are planning to apply for a scholarship such as the one that is coming from our government, from the Indonesian government, like LPDP, they might kind of like really want to know more from your side on what makes you change your major from S1 to S2, right? So as long as you have a really concrete answer, which, by the way, if you do have like a really interesting answer on why, for example, you're from studying psychology to MBA, and you actually have like a really good reason why you're changing field, you can actually mention that in the essay, right? But again, you don't have to worry. Once you quite certain on what do you want to study, that's what you need to focus on. Because this is also something that I like to share with our advisees, is that when it comes to, especially when it comes to master's degree and PhD, you want to be very selfish, meaning that you don't want to pick like campuses, for example, just because the name of that campus, so that when you're coming back to Indonesia, there are going to be so many employers going to hire you just because you graduated from that program. But as long as you can really like you believe that that program will get you to what it is that you want to do, then you're good to go. Why? Because so it's the thing, like you don't want to study in the US just because. You don't want to study in the US just because you want to get a degree, just because it's really cool when I'm coming back and tell people I graduated from here and there. We don't want that, because that's going to be wasting your time, because we all know by now that applying to US universities is already complicated to begin with all these requirements that you need to do, like the GRE, the GMAT, and all that. So you really want to have like a really clear purpose, clear goal on what you want to do in the future. All right.
All right. Next question is from Alia. I think she's ready. I'm going to unmute her. Hi, Alia.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. So yeah, go ahead and ask Tina directly on your question that you put in the chat box.
Alia, you can just talk with us if you want.
My connection is unstable.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to read it for her. Her question is how we know that our essay is good. Who will be reviewing our essay before we submit it?
Before you submit it. Okay, so that's a good question. So who's going to read your essay? I think once you submit that essay, it will be read by that department, right? This is for master's degree, not so much for the bachelor's degree. I can talk about that real quick later. But since the majority of us here is a master's degree or PhD study, looking for PhD study, then when you submit your application, that is going to go to that specific department. So meaning that it's going to be read by someone who knows in good detail about that program. So you also want to show them that you basically the expert, right? What they don't know, however, is what is currently going on in Indonesia. And that's what we basically want to put in the essay. But other than that, you want to tell them, you want to show them that, look, I'm not just applying to your campus just because you guys are. After further research, deep research, I found that your campus is different than others, where you provide this and that, where no other programs in the US offer the same thing. And I believe that by taking this specific courses, you can mention that, by the way, that really shows you that, again, you're not just applying to the campus just because, but you're really aware of what their curriculum looks like. And if they offer any internship programs, you want to mention that. Maybe some other programs do not offer any internship program. So then that's something plus from that university, right? So so it's going to be read by someone who from the department, and we want to show them that you are the expert of that specific topic. I actually want to just go ahead because I'm opening the chat box here, and it's really interesting from Zahra Aziza. If you have grammatically error in our essay, is it means that we lost some percentage to get there or to enter the universities? That's a really good point, because also something that I would like to share with you guys, when it comes to essay review with Santika and I, we are not checking the grammar at all. Because both of us, we are not an American, not an English native speaker. We are both Indonesians. We may also have some grammar's error here and there. So what we're focusing more is actually the structure of the essay. The structure of the essay and the grammars basically come together. You do not want to have a perfect grammar, but then the content of your essay is just like what hundreds of other applicants out there write. But you also do not want to write a really great content, but there are so many grammar errors here and there. So what happens is, like, when you do an advising with us, which, by the way, there are so many advisees that come to us with an advising session for more than 5 sessions, 10, 20, 30 sessions. But all we do together is basically get get a really good content, which that is also another thing that I would like to remind you guys. If you please try not to come to us when it's really really close to the deadline, because then it's going to defeat the whole thing. If, for example, you came to us and then to the point where 3 days before the deadline, I would say, okay, I don't have any more comments. This is pretty much like good. But then what I'm going to ask you is, you need to find an English native speaker, preferably American if you can. If you don't know anybody, just let us know. We can ask someone from the embassy to help us to specifically check the grammar. All right. You don't have to tell them that, hey, would you be willing to read my essay? Because a lot of people actually don't feel confident in doing that. But just tell them that, don't worry, you don't have to like really understand the whole thing, the technical aspect, because it's already checked. You can say that with like our with the EducationUSA advisors. But please just let me know if there's like any grammar error or something like that. All right.
Okay, Fina, I think we have two questions from two separate persons, but the question is along the line of the topic. So
Yeah.
this is a question from Sukma Septian Nasution and Bagas Budi. So their question is like, if they took, let's say, bachelor degree in business, and then they're
Yeah.
going to take master in engineering. So they don't really have much to talk about in their essay for the master application. So it's about the topic, like what kind of topic you can, generate if that's the case.
Okay, good question. So let's say you're graduating from business, and then all of a sudden you just happen to love engineering and you want to study engineering. There's nothing business about it. What am I going to write on my essay? Well, you don't have to write about business. You don't have to write about business. But what makes you want to study engineering? Oh, because after I graduated from business program, I happened to work in a company where it's very very engineering, and you realize that that's your passion, and there's so many things that you can actually use that degree with that engineering. So then that's what you're going to say in the essay. So you don't have to worry about like, there's nothing engineering with my bachelor's degree, right? So yeah, it's totally fine as long as it's reflected. So for example, the admissions committee might see your resume, right? And then, oh, the student's actually graduated with a business major. Okay, good. But then he wants to study engineering. But then that admissions committee found out that in your resume or in your CV, you actually have a good amount of years in the engineering field. And then for them, that's already enough. Like, oh, that makes sense that this person wants to study engineering. All right.
Right. So if it's another case, like let's say Sukma was saying, if you are in the public sector and the strategic industry, it's easy for you to, generate topic like I want to help the country and everything. But if you're not, like let's say you're in the education field, how are you going to talk about your contribution or anything related to the topic for the essay?
I know there are a lot of advisors kind of like coming in, and they kind of like have a hard time trying to find a reason, because their program is just completely different. But usually that happens when after I give the essay presentation, where that would be my only like my first time hearing about this student, right? So that's when that's like a good timing for me to invite the person to, hey, let's have a chat tomorrow if you're available. I'll be here because I would like to know more about it, right? So when you actually come to EducationUSA, now that we're going virtual, we're going to be in Zoom. So if you're going like when we're going to talk via Zoom, in a way, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, but you don't have to be like very scared about it or anything like that. Just as long as you already know what you want to do. My reasons of me asking you this is I would like to try to get to know you better, and the more you're coming to, the more you're doing an advising with us, the more I will remember you, the more I will keep remember your essay, because I have so many advisors who would come for like 10, 15, 20 times where I would never forget about their essay, something that I can keep sharing with you guys, like I did tonight, right? So I would like you to be that kind of advisees, right? So like along the process, I'm going to know who you are, and I will push you to kind of like also share with me about yourself, to the point where when we do an advising, I offer you to actually have your phone out and open the recorder app, so that you can actually record yourself. Because what I'm going to ask you, you're going to answer me back with a lot of new information, and that is also like one of the ways to brainstorming, actually. So even though you have like a really hard time like finding that little tiny like connection with this specific program that you don't have any experience with before, there must be something in there. There is no way that you just like all of a sudden decide to pick like one major where you don't know anything about it, right? So yeah.
Okay, Fina, I think we have one question from Facebook, but we only have 3 minutes left. So his or her question is very short. So from Facebook, Christian Sukan Reborn, can I compare my essay like education facility in my town, Salatiga, and Biak, Papua on my essay?
Oh my God, you want to hear my answer now? The answer is absolutely. All right. Oh, so this is like an amazing last question. I love it. I'm sorry if there's so many other questions that we can answer, but don't worry, we are in email. Please meet us in Zoom. But I love this question so much because this is also my favorite time being an advisor, because I love Indonesia so much. Yeah, there are so many other things that I don't know about Indonesia, but you guys do, right? So not only I will be the right person to actually share what you're going to say in the essay, that's also going to be very, very interesting for the admissions committee when they are reading your essay. And just the fact that you want to bring a story that is not like always Jakarta. Who doesn't know about Jakarta, right? Or who doesn't know about Sumatra, or like those other area in Indonesia where a lot of people know? Who doesn't know about Bali, right? You're actually bringing something that showing off about your hometown. So, for example, like we actually have a number of advisees coming from the east side of Indonesia, the Indonesia Timur. I love their essay, right? I've never been there, but they have so many interesting stories to share. So, yeah, no, absolutely. You don't have to always talk about Indonesia. You don't have to always talk about like, Jakarta. But talk about your hometown if that is what you want to do. Like, look, I want to study in the US because when I'm coming back to Indonesia, I would like to do something with my hometown. I want to do this. I want to start that. So absolutely, you can definitely do that. So I guess that's it. Time flies. And seriously, guys, this has been so fun. Please let us know if you have any more questions. We are here. Our Zoom is always standing by every day, by the way. I'm going to just let you guys know that the Zoom ID is, if you want to write it down, it's very easy, no password whatsoever. It's 276-124-396. Okay? 276-124-396. We are available every single day from 1 until 9. Let's continue this session. Really appreciate you guys are here. I would love to hear more about, like, we have a number of wonderful questions, meaning that you guys are about to start the essay, right? So I look forward to reading your draft, or don't worry, you don't have to draft, but let's chat some more. Let's share about your US study plan and all that. All right. Again, thank you guys so much for joining in. Santika, do you have any last word or?
So, yeah, last word. I put in the Zoom ID in the chat box and our email. So you can just copy paste them before this actually end. And you can also try to reach us out through the educationusa.state.gov website if you don't have time to copy paste this one. So yeah, thank you so much everybody for joining us. We have about 90 something just now. It's quite a lot of people.
One last message from me is that we are also going to have another event this coming Friday, which I think you're going to like it. It's about 15 most frequently asked questions. So we compile so many questions that a lot of our advisees asked in the past. We compile that, and then we're going to show you the answers, and then we have some room to have discussion like this as well. So please go ahead, go to EdAmerica's website if you would like to hear more. We already have actually a good number of people registering for that event. It's going to be this. It's going to be this coming Friday at the same time at 7. And also, please stay tuned for next week's event. We're going to. I promise you, we're going to have like a lot of other wonderful topics. Or if you have if you're thinking on specific topic that you would like us to share with you guys, please also email us or chat with us via Zoom. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Santika, for helping me with the questions. Thank you so much for our EdAmerica team. Love the participants. We have 86, what I'm looking at here in the Zoom. But also, thank you so much for those who are watching us via Facebook and Twitter. I look forward to meeting you guys again very, very soon. And I'm going to give you back to Maya. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Fina and Santika, for a very informative session. Now I know a little more about why SI plays such a huge role in our admission. Okay, guys, I have the name of the winner for our social media quiz today. Thank you to all of you who have participated. The question was, how many SI sessions were conducted at EdAmerica in 2019? And the correct answer is 460. Find out who the winner is? Our winner is... Congratulations, Argado Swarskov Simarmata. Now, you may be wondering, how can I develop an awesome idea for a place like this? Don't worry, you can send an event proposal to us by visiting our website on www.edamerica.or.id. Select Create a Program and go to Collaborate with us. All proposals coming to us will be reviewed, and your event might be featured here soon. You can also subscribe to our newsletter for our weekly event updates sent straight to your inbox. All right, that wraps up this episode. It has been fun, guys, but unfortunately, we have to say goodbye for now. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at EdAmerica for event updates, fun content, and so much more. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope to see you guys in our next program. Bye!